Don't stop.
Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything in a Bit Gay podcast. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, your host, and we are 11 days away from spring. 11. And let me tell you, I live in the Boston area, and this has been one hell of a winter. And I realized that today I have not been out of the house in 11 days. I have not left my house in 11 days because I work from home. I do my podcast from home. I order groceries and they're delivered by Instacart. I get packages delivered from Amazon and I don't have to leave the house. But it's been 11 days since I've been out. Tomorrow, I am going out. I'm going for a hike and it's going to be a really nice day out because I have to get out of the house. And the weird thing is that I don't necessarily care that I haven't been out of the house in 11 days. I just feel like it's not healthy. I mean, I guess if I lived in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment that was 1 floor, little boxy house or a little boxy whatever, I would maybe that would be different. Like I would maybe feel, but I have a larger size house that I have, and so maybe that's why I don't feel like I can come up. I have a 3rd floor, and that's where my podcast studio is, and my office, and I can be up here, and it feels like I'm in a completely different. Maybe it feels like I go to work because I have this, but I don't know. I can't do this anymore. And let me tell you, when spring is officially here on March 21st, I am going to make myself every single day, unless it's pouring down rain, go outside and take a 45-minute walk and eventually get into a little jog and then make it longer than 45 minutes. But I am going to do that. That is one of the things I will start doing this spring because this winter, I usually love winter because I love winter clothes. I love coats. I love scarves. I love boots. I love switching out of my summer clothes and putting them under the bed and zipper bags and getting all my sweaters out. And I feel like I haven't even wore hardly any of my sweaters this year because I don't go to an office anymore. I did a fair amount of travel this winter, but I feel like I ended up packing my new sweaters that I bought this year and just didn't wear any of my old ones. And then, I don't know, gay people's problems, I guess. That's what it is. But let's talk about my guest today because this is one of the guests that I really, really enjoyed having. He's one of those guests that you're doing the podcast and you're like, oh shit, I forgot I was on a podcast. And that's when that happens and I end, that's when I know I really loved the person that I was talking to. And that's how I felt about him. His name is Stef. He talks about his story, and I'm not going to give you too much of it because I want you to listen to the podcast and listen to his story, but he really went through and talked about growing up and being bullied and just having a horrible childhood, living in Canada. And I don't ever get emotional with my guest, and this is the first guest that made me almost lose it, where I almost cried. I didn't cry, but I almost did. He's such, and I listened. He's one of the guests that I didn't interrupt, and I didn't say, yeah, and doing all that in between. He's someone that I wanted to hear everything he said, and I was just, I don't want to say in awe of him. Maybe that's too much, but I was, he's fascinating, and I just respect him so much, and I can't wait for you to hear his story because listen to the full interview because the end is amazing. Where he was and where he is now, we go on his full journey. And I hope you enjoyed hearing Stef's story as much as I enjoyed interviewing him and listening to his story directly from him. So, because he's quite an amazing human. So thank you so much for joining in. Enjoy my interview with Stef. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything in a Bit Gay podcast. Today, I have a new guest. His name is Stef Vachon. He has a podcast of his own, and he has a very interesting life story, and we're going to get into all that. So welcome to the show, Stef.
Thank you so much, Zach, for having me. That's great.
So let's talk about who you are, because I'm looking at your website right now and it says, "Hey, I'm Steph, and I'm a human being." To me, that should be enough, but unfortunately, it's not. So tell me, like, what that means to you. Like, what made you kind of come up with that? I don't want to say a tagline, but that sentence.
When I look at what's going on right now in the world, how I grew up and everything, it's hard for me to understand that when you don't fit in the box or in the
Mhm.
container like everybody else, that you have to be treated differently.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean that the color of your skin, where you're from, your identity, whatever, to me, it doesn't make sense that you have to be treated another way. Like that if you're not, well, if you're not a white heterosexual man,
Mhm.
right away, I mean, it's like it's already hard for you to start your life, which is I don't understand. Like to me, like it's so easy to just be respectful of everyone. And then, I mean, that's what makes people so different and colorful. And that's what makes the community and the world such a wonderful place. I mean, how boring would that be if we would all be the same and look the same and dress the same and do the same job and talk about the same thing all over again? To me, it doesn't make sense. So for me to say to start, I always start that way too in my podcast. I mean, I'm a human being like anybody else. And it doesn't make sense to me that I had to go through what I had to go through as a kid. And even today, what's going on with being not exactly in that box, to me, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, I have to say what you just said is so refreshing. It's so nice to hear that other people think that way. And, I think a lot of people, well, I should say, I think a lot of people I know feel that way. And I hope that, what you're doing with your messaging and branding and podcast, that you're hoping, you're spreading that message and stuff. And that's why I'm happy to have you on my show so we can continue kind of, amplifying this, because it's so, the world is in a weird place right now. I think weirder than I ever thought it would be. So, and I felt like, I don't know, 10 years ago, we were taking so many steps forward. And now I feel like we've taken double the steps back. So it's kind of scary. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a French speaking town south of Quebec City in Canada. So
Okay.
it was a really small town, like just a few thousand people. I mean, the biggest city was Quebec City, and at that time, it was only French-speaking white people.
Okay.
So, of course, it was really narrow-minded. And while you're a boy, you play hockey. That's what it is.
And is that what you were doing? But you did skating as well. You did
Figure skating.
figure skating, yeah. And you kind of you went to the nationals for that.
Yeah. But first, no, I had nothing to do with hockey because I hated it from the start. There was
Okay.
no way that I was going to be put in that. And I was way too artistic, way too into the arts right away when I was young and into music. And then I fell in love with that sport because I was learning how to skate actually in a little town. Like, I mean, everybody has to learn how to skate.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And so I had my hockey skates, and then they were doing a competition, a figure skating competition, and everybody that was learning how to skate was doing it. And I just skated around with my hockey skates. Like, seriously, that's all I did. They put a
Yeah.
music on, and I just went around, and I got a gold medal. Don't ask me why.
Wow.
And then it was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. So then I asked my dad, I want skates with toe picks and I want to do that. Like right away, it was clear in my head that's what I wanted to do. So it was really easy for me. I learned really quickly. I didn't even have like a real coach at that time at first. And then I started having a coach, and then I learned so quickly that right away I started doing competitions and I was just winning. It was easy for me.
Wow. What was your father's reaction though whenever you said, "I want to do," you want to do figure skating, because it's not ice hockey. It's definitely not a masculine sport like where hockey is super hyper masculine. Was he okay with that?
Totally, actually. I have nothing. My dad never made me feel like it was wrong. No, he was like, right, okay, but the only thing he said, I remember, he's like, we just bought you hockey skates, and I was like, no, I don't care. Like, I
Yeah.
want the toe picks, and I want to be able to do the jumps and skate backwards, like,
Yeah.
and do all the stuff that I would see on TV.
And what did the rest of this small town outside of Quebec City? What was their reaction to this?
Well, right away when I would say that when I won that big provincial competition, and that's when my life totally changed.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I thought I was good. I should be so proud of what I just accomplished and what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it became the opposite right away. So right away, I was the homo, the faggot. The insults and the humiliation started right away. So it became like shameful to be who I was and what I was good at. So the more and more I grew up, I just started believing them. I started hating myself. I started hiding as much as possible. So high school was extremely hard. I spent almost my whole high school in a bathroom stall,
Oh my God.
hiding. That's all I would do. I would get to school. I would hide under my clothes. I would just run to the bathroom stall and wait there until I would go to class. I had timed my watch, and a minute before it would ring, like I would just run to my class, and then, but it happened on the hallways in the class, like, shut up, homo, and sissy figure skater. That's all I had all the time. So it was really extremely hard. I was really lonely. And I became like a ghost, invisible, And of course, skating was not as good as what it should have been for me anymore, because I was living in such an environment where I had to survive that I did not improve at all anymore. And I would get to competitions, and I was so stressed out and nervous already from just the anxiety of living my day-to-day life,
Yeah.
that I would lose control. I would lose the control and the feeling of my legs when I would get in competition. So try to go in front of judges and a crowd on a thin blade and try to do jumps and stuff when you don't feel your legs anymore. It was horrifying, and it was horrible because all I would do would be falling. I would fall. I would trip in my skates. And even with that, I still kept winning so many times or getting medals. That's how much stronger I was and how strong I was as a skater. But with doing crappy performances, I would still so many times make it, And I even made it to nationals, like you said earlier, at 17 in the junior category, which is like pretty high. It's just right before the senior. That year was better for me because then I was finally away from my town, and I was in college, and I was away from all the environment that was in my day-to-day life, because the environment where the abuse was everywhere.
And is that whenever things switched for you, whenever you went away to college and university, where things got better?
Well, I didn't last long in college because then a professional ice show called the Ice Capades was in town. At the time, they were touring in North America. And I was like, okay, here's my chance to get the hell out of here, to start a new life. So I auditioned, and they took me right away. And at 18, I left, thinking that it would cure me and I would finally be happy.
Yeah.
But it didn't do that. Like, that's now reflecting on that, I understand what was going on. But at the time, I was away and I was touring and ice shows and I was traveling, but it was just like carrying a huge garbage bag on my shoulders. All the feelings I had, what I thought about myself, who I became, I was carrying that, and I was still hating myself. Like, it was not going away. It was the way I thought about myself, the choices I made. I had no self-confidence at all. I hated myself. So how can you enjoy life and do the things that you're supposed to do? And even, just to say that I was a figure skater, I was so ashamed of it. Like I would not tell anybody. So that's like so contrasting because I thought I was going to be. I mean, I remember that day when I left at the airport and I was going up the stairs and I was like waving, like, I'm out of here. Like, thank God.
Hmm.
And the minute I got there, the anxiety was just came back and I just felt so alone again. And like, well, first I didn't speak English. So I had to learn to speak English really quickly, which I
Hmm.
did. But being with other people, that was not my environment. Even that when it feels so weird, because even if I was in a new environment that I thought I could be happy and be myself, I wanted to go back into the old environment because I felt like I knew what was going on and who I was at that time. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the tools. I learned to hate myself. So how am I supposed to go into the world and accomplish things?
But with the people that you were doing this tour with, like, was there other people that were like you though? Or and people must have accepted who you were or whatever, even if you didn't know who you really were at that point, but they must have accepted you or been more open than the town you grew up in. Is that but did you just
Well,
not see that? You couldn't connect that.
at that time, I became an actor. So I played heterosexual. I
Okay.
played, oh yeah. I mean, I played straight. I didn't want to be who I thought I was. I was so ashamed of it. And yeah, there was a lot of gay people and there was a lot of diversity. But even then, I would look at them and I would be like, oh my God, I can't be that. I can't be that. Because if I'm that, what's going to happen when I go back home?
Mm.
You know? And I even made sure I had a girlfriend my first year because we were going to come back into Quebec and tour. So I'm like, okay, so I need to bring back a girlfriend because people kept telling me, don't become a sissy now. Don't become a faggot when you
Yeah.
go there because when you come back, we want to see you, as a normal straight person. So I made sure I had a girlfriend. I brought a girlfriend home when we were touring. Everybody was so happy and smiling. And I apologized later to that girl that I used her when I came out
Yeah.
because, you know, so it took me the second year touring when I had a break that I went back home for the summer and I was like, okay, that's it. Like I can't live like this anymore. I have to come out, which I did. And I had so much fun. It was an incredible summer before I went back to touring. And, but then again, like every time I thought, okay, I'm coming out now, I should be happy with who I was,
Hmm.
but I could not. Like the pink cloud went away really quickly, and I went back into how I saw myself.
And is it because of all the trauma that you had growing up
Oh
that's
yeah.
why you just yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I totally understand now with all the work I've been doing.
And did your parents accept you after you came out? Were they fine with it?
Um, how can I say this? Remembering now things that were said and done, I think it was done a little bit hypocritically, I
Yeah.
would say,
Hmm.
because there were things that were said and reactions that happened that even later in life, even like up to a few years ago, where I realized that I was not accepted as much as my siblings that were heterosexual, or
Yeah.
yeah, it was different. So
Yeah.
it yeah, I would say.
And after you came out, kind of walk me through your life about what did you do next when you went back? You went back to the tour and you were doing that after
Okay,
that
then
summer?
yeah, well, what happened is that everywhere I went, I still felt the same way about myself, and I was still really unhappy
Mm.
and anxious, and didn't know who I was anymore because I acted for so many years. So I kept quitting ice shows, going back to it, moving cities, going into coaching and figure skating, change city, quit again, go back to a tour. That's what I did. for many years, like until my early 30s. For
Okay.
10 years, I just kept switching back and forth, being with new lovers. It was, I would had, what I had to do was to change all the time because I thought, okay, I didn't find the perfect place to make me happy. I didn't find the perfect environment to make me happy.
Hmm.
So I thought by exploring and changing all the time that I would finally find the place where I would be like, oh, okay, now I'm here, I'm happy. But I would start a new tour, anxiety would start again. The way I felt again about myself didn't feel good. I wanted to go back home. Then I went back home, I wanted to go again. It was this constant, trying to fix something from the outside, but the inside was totally, it was dead. It was damaged. It was dead. There were scars that were totally open, and I was carrying that. And no matter what I did, no matter where I was, I still felt horrible about who I was, and I still hated myself.
And then when you got into your 30s, what happened?
Well, after being with I don't know how many boyfriends and how many jobs, and well, by that time I kept listening to what other people had to tell me what I should be doing and who I should be. I was like just carrying what people would tell me, and I had a friend at that time that kept telling me, Steph, you need like a real big job in an office and with big responsibilities. And by that time, I was in my early 30s. I had quit everything about figure skating. I was not touring anymore. I was not skating. I was not coaching anymore. So I got a wonderful job as a graphic designer. I had studied that. And one morning, I just could not get out of the house. I could not get out. The anxiety was so bad. I didn't know who I was anymore. The feeling I had in my body was just like, what's going to happen to me now? Like I'm going to die. Like it was so strong. So I finally thought, okay, I can't go on like this anymore. I have to do something. Went to my doctor, explained it to him what was going on, and he agreed that I had to really take a step back and start, doing something. And I was happy that I found a therapist, a most wonderful, incredible therapist. And right before that, I just started writing. I decided, okay, I need to know why I'm feeling like this about myself. What's going on with me? So I wrote everything, everything on paper from my childhood to at that point, everything that happened to me, the people that were in my life, what happened, the choices that I made because of that. Because when you don't see yourself as who you are, the choices you make are for other people. And the way I had been acting and using people for that. I mean, I wrote everything down, and it took me weeks, but it felt so good just to put everything on paper. And then I went to that therapist, and I opened the door and I threw this big piece of paper on his desk, and I said, listen now, I don't know who you are, but please read this and tell me if you can save me. And if you can't, I'm gone. That you're my last chance. Like I can't live like this anymore with myself.
And we'll be right back. Okay, now back to the show. So you were thinking about suicide at that point?
Oh, of course. Well, I had been thinking about it. I
Yeah.
mean, for for a long time, but
Long time, yeah.
There was always hope that something would happen. Even when I was young, it was always like, okay, this is going to stop. I always had hope that there would be a change.
Yeah.
So really, it was my last hope. That was it. Like I had tried everything. I mean, everything that I had been doing. So he made me promise I would go back to visit him the following week. He said, I'm going to read everything and I will tell you honestly if I can help you or not.
Okay.
And I went back the following week, and right away he said, sit down, I will help you, and things are going to get a lot better. So for the first time in my life, I had someone that listened to me and said that things were going to get better. So that day I chose life. And I chose that I was going to live, and I needed to understand, and I needed to do everything he was telling me to do. I mean, he gave me books to read, he gave me exercise to do, things to write. I mean, I learned so much with him, and I did exactly what he told me to do. And that's when I started getting better. And that's when I started realizing the trauma and the impact it had on my whole life. And that I really needed to do something to finally learn to love who I was, because I hated myself for all those years.
If you could go back at that time to your, your younger self when you were in high school, what would you have told yourself? Like, what would you have done to maybe help yourself back then?
Oh my God. First of all, that there was nothing wrong with me.
No, but just to like, not that there was anything wrong with you, but just what would you have told yourself to, oh, that's what you would have told yourself, that there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And how would you have convinced yourself that, though? Because, you were talented. You were winning medals and winning competitions without trying. I mean, you I'm assuming you're a good-looking guy, so I'm assuming you're a good-looking kid too. And, I just it's so sad to me that that's how you lived your life for so long. And would you have told yourself to fight back or say anything back? Are you glad you didn't like stir anything up in school when these people were calling you fag and homo and sissy and all this?
You're touching something that is really hard to, that took me a long, long time to, first of all, forgive myself, because I thought for the longest time that I was weak.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the environment I was, and you have to know, in those times, there was no social media, there was no internet, there was nothing on TV. I mean, homosexuality did not even exist in my town. It was absolutely nothing. And I grew up where, I mean, communication did not exist either. And it was Catholic, right? I mean, I would go to church, that's how it was. So what I came to is that today, I really realize that I'm one of the most strongest person I've ever met. To be able to, as a kid, to go through this, to recover, and to be who I am today, I mean, I must have been so strong.
Oh.
So I think, like, what could have I told myself? I wish I could have like just punched them in the face and do something. But there was not one place where I was safe. So when there's not one place, not even when you go back where you live after school, everywhere was always the same thing.
Yeah, and I can relate to what you're saying. I did not have it as anywhere near, horribly as you did. Um, but I look back whenever I was, called gay, fag, whatever, at times. But there's these two boys in high school. I didn't have the whole school because it was much different. But I do look back and reflect and wish that I just would have just punched one of them in the face one time or something, but it's hard to go back and say, I wish I would have done that because, I was a skinny little kid and, what could I have done? I don't know. Just, I have thought about that many times.
Yeah, me too. And that's when I had to forgive myself for, there's no way, when I look back at it today, there's no way that I could have got that strength from being totally alone.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was not one place where I could go back to and feel safe, but that bathroom stall, which is totally unacceptable and unhealthy, for a young boy to spend. So I had so much hope, I think. And yes, I could have like punched someone in the face. And me too. I was really short, really skinny. I was not a big guy. I just felt so hopeless. I just felt like I couldn't at that time. I mean, yeah, I would have loved to, but.
So tell me, so this doctor came and said he would help you. He started helping you. You started feeling much better about yourself. And how long did that process take?
Long time, and it's not over.
Okay.
It's gonna be it's funny, after years of being with him, I try to get help everywhere. Group support, lots of reading, lots of, not now, there's lots of podcasts, a lot of things that I went, changed everything about myself, about the way I think about myself, the choices I make. It's a lot of learning to unfreeze, because I learned to freeze in situations, right? When things would happen where people would go against my boundaries, I would just freeze. I was not able to speak out. I was not able to defend myself. So I remember, after, like, I think it was 10 years of being with him in my 40s, I I said, when am I going to be like cured and happy? And
Yeah.
then he laughed and he said, how long have you been feeling like this? Like, until we met, And I said, well, almost 30 years. Like, he said, well, make it another 30 years and then we'll talk about it. And he said, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because he's retired now, but he will still see me, because he says I'm his miracle. Like, he says,
Yeah.
people like you should have been dead in a mental hospital or in the street. And he said, you're my miracle, and I will always, you need something, you call me, I'll be there for you. So, and I was talking with him about it. And I said, it's funny that even today, there's things still that come up, that I either put so far back that I didn't want to feel, or events or people that, did something, or said something. And I'm still learning every day.
Yeah.
So it is a journey. It's not, but now it's a beautiful journey. That's the difference.
Was it hard to kind of like, I don't know, let go of control of of yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what you have to do whenever you're listening, when you're going to a therapist, and you've got to completely change yourself. How hard was it to let go of that control and to try to be who you really should be?
Really, really hard. But then at the same time, I trusted that man so much. He's like, he has to be the one person that I fully trust. And so my trust was 500% with him. So everything he told me, I did. And there was even times that I said, um, by the middle, like the end of my 30s, one session, he's like, okay, now you're gonna go and put your skates and go on the ice. And I said, no, that I will never do. And then he looked at me and he said, well, you made me a promise, and if you want to keep coming back here, you have to do what I tell you to do. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That was the biggest gift, one of the biggest gifts that he gave me. And I went back on my skates, and right away when I stepped on the ice, it's like I had a vision of what was going to happen. And I started skating again.
I just got chills. Like, I can't believe that's amazing. And how did that open you up again?
Well, I started doing, there's lots of adults competitions,
Mhm.
and I started doing international adults competitions everywhere. And that just, it cured me so much, because I went back into who I was when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
of course, I'm never going to be as good or get better at what I was. I mean, and now I'm 57 and I'm back at it again after 15 years off. And, but for, like, I would say middle 30s until beginning of 40s, for like 5 or 6 years, I was really intense, skating a lot, competing. And it was just like, I was curing something. I was healing something
Mhm.
about what I had missed. And I wanted to prove. At that time, I wanted to prove to myself and others too, which was not healthy. But anyway, I'm okay with that now today, because today I'm skating just really for who I am and
Mhm.
myself. But it's like I needed to prove a point that there was I was good at this, and this was my life. It was my passion at one point, and what it is, it's still my passion to skate today. So yeah, that was really a turning point. I gave it up for another 15 years because I went back into coaching figure skating, and it took so much time, and I had great success with really good students. So I could not do it anymore. And I made the choice to, okay, I'll postpone that for a while. But I mean, years went on, went on, went on. Then I got married. We had our son. All of this, plus going back to school, learning new things. And then our son, just not even 2 years ago, was old enough to learn to skate. He's like, Dad, I want to go skating outside. I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I put back my skates on, went with him, and it happened again. Same thing. I just went, the chills went back, the goosebumps, and it was like, okay, now I have to get back again because I'm 57 soon, which
you look amazing. I would have thought you were 57. So congratulations on that.
And I was also diagnosed with a disease called fibromyalgia a few years ago, which is really hard on the muscles and the joints, and it's not gonna get better. But now I'm fine enough that I can manage and control most of the time. So I'm like, okay, I need to do this now, because I don't have any more time to waste. And that's how I live now today. It's like every day and every minute is productive into something I love to do, that I want to do. It's always towards who I am. So 2 years ago was with my son outside, and I was like, okay, again, I had the same vision, and I've been competing now for a year, and I get, my music done, my choreography, my costumes and everything. And this year I'm going to some big events and the gay games in Valencia, and I'm going in Germany in 2 months for a big international competition. And it is like everything, the difference between now and before is everything now is only for me.
Yeah.
It's for little Stef. It's for nobody else. I'm not proving to anyone because I know who I am now.
Yeah.
I love who I am. I accept who I am, and I'm in the present moment, and every day is who I am. So I don't need to prove to anybody anymore. I don't need to do a good competition for anybody. Like when I'm on the ice now, it's like it's for me. It's for me and little Stef. And my family. Like I love when they're watching. I love my son and my husband are there watching me, but that's the only reason why I do it now. And it takes off so much pressure.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. How did you meet your husband?
Oh, online.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Me too. I did same with me. We've been together 27 years, so I'm with you.
Wow, congratulations. Wow.
And whenever you met, did you know right away that he was the one that you wanted to be with?
Well, when I met him, I was at that point, I was in my healing process, and I was like, okay, I need to be by myself for a while because I needed to learn who I was. Because I kept staying in relationships that were really toxic and not healthy for me. And so when we met, he was ready. Well, first, he's a lot younger than me. He's like 14 years younger than me. So he was 29 when we met, and I was in my 40s. Well, 29 plus 14. So, and then right away for him, it was like he wanted to be with me, and I kept telling him, look, I don't know if I'm ready yet because I'm still really working on myself. And I was really, right away, really honest about what happened to me, where I was. And he was so patient and persistent, but such in a gentle way. And he was so, patient, I have to say, that it took about a year where I said, okay, I think that, yeah, we should, try and write it. But he has to be one of the most wonderful person I've ever met. So generous and such, with good values and the heart at the right place. And so slowly we started dating. And yeah, one day I told him, I said, "Are you feeling what I'm feeling?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "I think that, we really made for each other." So it started slowly. It started more like, not, I would say a friendship. It was more than that, but I needed a connection from the soul so much more because I had been looking always with the outside, the fake and the physical and
Mm.
all that stuff. So it's almost like that show Love is Blind. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if you know.
yeah. I do.
And
Yes.
so it was really the connection of who he was, who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, which, what kind of person. And that's the kind of person I want to spend the rest of my life with. Somebody that is generous, that has great values. And then he started talking to me about being dads. And it's always been one of my dreams from being a kid. From being a
Yeah.
kid, I wanted to get married and be a dad. But at that time, when he started talking to me about it, and I totally had given up on this because I thought I'm getting too old. I was in my 50s, early 50s. I think I was, yeah, early 50s. And then he talked to me about it, and I said, I'm too old now. Like, I don't know if I can do that at my age. And I said, I don't think so. And we watched a movie called Lion.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever.
I've heard
It's
of it.
the most incredible movie. It's about this a couple from Australia. They go to India. They adopt a child from India.
Okay.
But basically, we cried the whole time. It was like, and then I thought, oh my God, like, I kept thinking, what do I want? Where do I see myself when I retire? And the thought of living my life and just my quiet life and doing my thing was horrifying to me. And I thought, I need to do everything that I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I texted him. I said, you know what? I changed my mind. Are you okay? And he was like, of course I'm okay. And that was it. That's all we had to do. And then we started the process right away for adoption, for looking at all the possibilities. And for me, for him too, it was really important that I didn't want to bring another human being in this world.
Yeah.
There's so many kids that need a better life.
Yes.
So right away, that's what it was in Quebec here, in the part of Canada that you go through a process that you're a foster family first,
Hmm.
and then years go on, and then the project of adopting is a step by step thing. But so I thought this is what I want to do. I want to like give a chance to another human being to have a better life, without knowing that that would completely change my life, and it would
Yeah.
completely change the way, even more like what this boy is giving me is I can't even explain.
Yeah.
What he taught me, what he's teaching me every day. And because, I kept thinking, okay, if I want to be a good dad, I need to give him what I never got, which is security, unconditional love, respect, communication, all that. But I'm like, how am I going to do this if I don't even do it to myself? So, like, what he taught me and how I needed to first start to speak to myself, to little Stef, and telling him he's safe now and I'm taking care of him and all that. I needed to do that to myself first.
Yeah.
So, from having him with us, that completely changed my life even more. Like, it was like my first part of my healing was with my therapist,
Yeah.
and then with our son. Without the two parts, I would not be who I am today.
I mean, think about, where you were at 17 and how you felt. And so this is, 40 years later, right?
Yeah.
And your life is done a complete 180 where you've made two new chapters in your life
Yeah.
where you've found someone that exactly who's your life partner. You found a son that you're giving that love to that you always and the security and safety that you always wanted. And you're happy. And I rarely get emotional on these podcasts, but I am like almost there now because I'm so happy for you. And I love hearing your story of how resilient you are. Like, I just, I can't believe that you went through. I mean, I can believe it because I know lots of people go through this, but the fact that you are on the other side of that now and now you have nothing but positivity for the rest of your life is amazing. It's just, I'm so proud of you as a human that you are there. And as a, I just, and now you're kind of giving back to people. You're talking on you have a podcast, right? Where you're talking about this. And I feel like you're helping so many people. So tell me about your podcast a little bit.
Okay, so when I realized that, well, like you said, I pinch myself every day.
Mhm.
And when I go kiss my boy, good morning, and then my husband, and then our dog, every day I'm like, I pinch myself and I'm like so grateful. And same thing again, I thought, okay, what do I want to do when I retire? And I used to dream of, oh, I want to be on the beach and doing
Yeah.
nothing. And it's like, no, that's not me. And then I started really digging into what do I want to do that will mean something to me? And I have to give back. I didn't go through all that stuff to just go and live my life quietly.
Yeah.
I thought it's not me. I cannot do that. I mean, I taught figure skating for almost 40 years. I gave to kids, like teaching was so rewarding. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something that will help my community.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been away from my community for so long because I had to take care of myself. And, but now it's like, what am I going to do that will help? And that will, because it helps me. Every time you help people or you get involved into your community, it heals you too. So went back to school again. I studied the digital marketing. I'm still taking courses for podcasts and marketing and all that. And I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. And I didn't know, like, I just went like, my God, I'm going to copy what the other ones are doing a little bit. And I listened to Mel Robbins, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I started slowly. And the more I do it, the more I'm like, my God, this is like being with my own son.
Yeah.
It's giving me so much and it's helping me so much more, even more. And now I'm working on my keynote speech and that's the next step. I want to go out there and I want to do more. And I see myself doing this forever now because I need to do something that will fulfill me today.
Yeah.
I'm not an office guy. I'm not a 9 to 5 guy to go get my paycheck. I can't live like this. To me, this is like prison.
Yeah.
It's horrifying me. I tried it. It's horrible. I'm miserable. It's not me. I need to create. I need to do something meaningful and to do the podcast and everything that goes with it. I mean, I get all these criteria together. And plus now I'm skating now for myself. So it's like, I could not be happier in what I do now.
So tell my listeners kind of about what your podcast is about a little bit, like about self-love and how so talk about a little bit about it, like what a typical episode would be.
It's all about learn to love yourself, to respect yourself, to set healthy boundaries. Mm-hmm. So I talk a lot about my experience, how I grew up, how I see things, how I changed, how I'm healing every day. I have guests also, and I make sure that I want guests from the whole community. I want it to be diverse. I want it to be from everywhere in the world. I've got people from Brazil, from Germany, from the United States, from South America, everywhere. I want people from every background, from the whole LGBTQI plus community. And I want to learn. I want to learn their side of the story. I want to know how they feel. And you know what? It all comes down to the same thing. It all comes down to loving yourself, accept who you are, and being proud of who you are, exactly as you are. It all comes down to this. So that's what this podcast is about. And my keynote, what I want to do with that, it's exactly the same thing. It's just it's like a follow up of, I've got some tools that I learned with therapy, with group support, with reading, with just things that I've tried myself to, that I see like where I come from and who I am today. And I'm like, I can't keep this for myself.
Yeah.
Like I need, because the more you share with people, the more it helps you too on top of it. So it's like, it's just like taking care of my son. Now I want to take care of my community, because they take care of me too. So, and with everything that is going on right now, there's no way that I can just sit back and watch. There's no way. There's no way. And advocating is amazing and it's great to go out there and shout. And this is not my strength. My strength, I realized, I've been, like I said, a skating coach for so long, and I was really good at making the kids believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. Even if for a long time, I didn't believe in myself. But now that I believe in myself and I know who I am, I think that by helping a community to feel better about who we are is going to make us stronger. Then we can go and fight the world, that we can go and show up in the world. I mean, if we're not all together as a community and we're not feeling great about who we are, how are we going to go out into the world when, with everything that is going on? So that's like my mission. That's what I want to do now, is for us to be stronger as a group and within ourselves. And then we can go out to the world and be like, kick ass,
I wish in so many ways that I would have been there for you as a friend in high school. Like, I feel like we could have taken on all those bullies together.
Yeah.
Stuff, like, I mean, I'll just say, I think you're remarkable. I think you are we need more people like you in this world. I really want you, I encourage you to kind of think about this sometimes if you don't, which I hope you do, because you're helping people. But I want you to, I'm hoping that you do think about the thousands of people or tens of thousands of people or even hundreds of thousands of people at some point that you're helping, because there's all these kids and adults even that have the same story as you.
Yeah.
Some are not as bad, some are worse. But you telling your story makes people understand that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones that went through this. And I just want to say, just imagine if you would have had a podcast like this when you were 17 and hearing somebody like you, it would have made a world of difference. And the fact that you're doing this now for people is astounding. It shows how kind you are, how you're such a kind person. And I just applaud you for that, because I love it that I love the adoption, that you have somebody that you're caring for and that you want them to have an amazing life and you're giving this person an amazing life. I love it that you found an amazing partner in life and now you're taking all that goodness that you've gotten and you're giving it back to the world. And not everybody does that. A lot of people don't do that. And I applaud you for just being such a great human. And so thank you for sharing your story, because you're the type of people who I wish was what the world was made out of. We need more people like you.
Well, that touches me like really, really big time. Thank you so much for saying that. I think it's just natural. I mean, we should all give back to what we learn, right? And the main thing is that I kept thinking, along the way, like, why did I go through all of this? And I cannot do nothing with this,
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of work, a long time, but now I'm finally at a place where I'm in peace. with what happened. I'm not okay with what happened.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. But as you said, if it can help even just a few, but I'm really hopeful that it's going to help a lot of people just to
Oh,
realize.
you're helping a lot of people, not just a few. It's a lot, I can tell you.
Well, thank you, because what you just said, to not feel alone, because I felt completely alone, and we're not alone. In the community, we have to use our community, and we have to know that the community is there for us. And I want to be there for and everyone from our community. It's not just, I mean, I'm gay, I'm queer, but it's not just about me. We're all in the same family. We're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to the same thing. It's rejection, right? And loneliness. So I think the more we get, we have to get stronger as we get bigger and more together. And I really believe that. So
I would love everybody that's listening to this to please go and listen to Stef's podcast. It's called Together Moving Forward. The website is togethermovingforwardpodcast.com. Follow his podcast, check it out. He's on YouTube as well. And just, support him, because, and if you know someone that's maybe gone through or is going through what Stef described today in this episode, share this with them, because it could be life-changing for them just to know that they're not alone, and that they can be healed from this type of stuff that they've gone through, because so many people are cruel in this world, and then people don't deserve to be treated that way. So I think you're an amazing person, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, this is going to resonate with so many people that listen to my show, and I just want to amplify what you're doing to everyone. So thank you so much for being on.
Well, thanks again, Zach. That was great.
If you have not subscribed to my podcast, please do, and leave a comment and tell us what you think about the episode we just did with Stef. And again, it's Together Moving Forward Podcast. I will put a link to Stef's podcast in the description of this video or podcast, and I will also put a link to his website as well. So listen, and then go and leave a comment and a review on what you think about his podcast too. So thanks everybody for listening, and thanks for being on, Stef.
Thank you so much.